What unexpected event changed your life for the better? A litter of Jack Russell pups was born in a town a few miles from my home. My mother and sister drove out to pick one, but when they arrived there was only one left, the runt of the litter that no one else wanted. They brought her home and she was the sweetest, meekest, most playful, most tender dog you could imagine. She was with me through some very hard times and gave me a great deal of comfort. I'm sure she knew when I was low, but I'm sure there were also plenty of times she helped me that she didn't know about. She has been dead now for longer than she was ever alive. She passed away 19 years ago, and I still dream about her from time to time. Love you, Kana. Moving from Latin America to the US with a short notice. My family had been applying for a green card, and we thought we'd have to wait years for it. However, 4 months later we got it. We had a short window of time to move and I hated it. But looking back at it, my life would have been completely different if we didn't move. Coming to the US, I ended up having my first job at 16, not usual in Latin America, and paid my own college where I graduated with 2 engineering degrees. I had 11 internships in major companies across the US where I've learned so much and have met incredible people along the way. I've had the opportunity through some job benefits to travel the world and the US. If I would have stayed in Latin America, I wouldn't have been able to afford all of this, let alone live alone, pay for my own car, and support my parents a bit financially whenever I can. Thinking about my life in Latin America now feels so distant. Been in the US 11 years now. Crazy. On a whim, I accepted a work-study program in England, literally at the last minute, so much so that I had my passport delivered with my visa the day of my flight. The day I arrived, I met a woman, also from my own country, who also made a last-minute decision. She also received her passport back with visa the day she left. 18 years later, and we've been together every day since. A guy killed himself because of my job. Not because of me, but because of the organization I worked for. That led directly to me leaving and getting a new job, which in turn led to me getting married, leaving London and buying a house. My parents splitting up when I was young. Usually, it's a horrible thing for a child to go through, but this was actually a positive thing. She was a drug-abusing, mentally unwell lunatic, and I'm not joking. She would drink unhealthy amounts of alcohol and abuse drugs like it was a 9-to-5 job. Her mere presence in the household had a massive negative effect on me, my father, and younger brother. She ended up getting incredibly argumentative and was non-stop attention-seeking the final 2 years of their relationship, and eventually my dad snapped and told her to get out of the house. I remember being incredibly confused and sad at the time, but now when I think about it, it was a really good thing to kick her out and break up with her. Adopted a cat, turned out to be my life coach. After 50 years of trying to be my sister's friend, she started going at me once again. I got up, walked out, and cut her out of my life. It's been 4 years and I love not being told what a horrible person I am every 3 months, or so, over what she has created in her mind. Getting fired, arrested, and convicted for something I didn't do. First job out of school, I was screwed over big time by my first ever employer. I was in a job that I didn't love. I was accused of something bad. I couldn't prove I didn't do it, but because I couldn't prove I didn't do anything, I was charged and found guilty. My sentence: educational assistance to get better qualifications. 15 years later, I'm in a job I love and earning 3x as much as my former colleagues, who just stood by and watched me get screwed over. My wife got pregnant. It was not planned, and I never expected to be a father. I'm now a stay-at-home dad and I love it. Had a near-miss accident that left me with a gnarly scar and a totaled car, but that led me to a chance meeting with a local who stopped to help. Turns out, they were the owner of a small business looking for someone with my exact skills. Fast forward 5 years, and not only have I climbed the ranks at a job I love, but the guy who stopped to help became a mentor and one of my closest friends. Life's strange. Sometimes it takes a literal crash to set you on the right path. Discovering a passion for writing unexpectedly changed my life for the better. I got dumped by the guy I thought was my person, like he legitimately was the most compatible, comfortable, easy to adore guy I'd ever met in my life, and he really seemed to feel the same about me. Unfortunately, he had to rearrange his life very suddenly, and I didn't fit, so he pretty much cracked my heart in half by ending things I've always known I wanted to be a writer. But the last 15 years, a horrible marriage, divorce, and a lot of emotional damage have kept me from doing it. After going through losing this guy and the reasons for it, I'm writing again and have been inspired to write a novel that I actually have a beginning, middle, and end for. I'm in love with it so far, and it feels amazing to be creating again, especially with the purpose he always encouraged me to write, and in the end, I guess he really did. Sitting at a bar watching SportsCenter when it actually showed highlights on a Saturday night, catching up on college football action, drinking a gym and Coke. I was on a school trip and the day had ended. I decided to stop at the bar to catch up on the CFB action, while my friends went to the room to party. While at the bar, another guy comes up to me and asks if the spot next to me is taken. I say no. He sits, and we start discussing CFB, and the conversation ends up about me being interested in grad school. He told me to apply to the school where he got his PhD. I did, got accepted, and went there. While there I met my PhD advisor, and was convinced to change my research focus from experimental to computational, still solving the same type of problem. Now, 15 years later, I would not be where I am today, house, engaged, job I love, etc. if I hadn't decided to grab a drink and watch SportsCenter at a hotel bar. I met the love of my life in high school, and after 15 years, we realized we were more than friends and have been dating almost a year and a half. Randomly picked up a sport to get better physical fitness following a spinal cord injury, and now have talent scouts looking to train me further. Even without that, the sport has improved my physical and mental health hugely, as well as got me engaged in continual learning about how to be a better person morally. Parents died. Aunt asked me what I was going to do. Told her I was going to ride my motorcycle until I was ready to come home. Did the US, and while in New Zealand, ran into an old friend. He asked me if I still wanted to go to Antarctica. Yup, 12 years on ice, 4 wind flight to close in McMurdo, 2 winters at Palmer Station, 14 months at the South Pole, and 2 long tours on the NB Palmer Ibov icebreaker research vessel. I was working at a dive bar over a decade ago, and was about to bang this chick that worked in the kitchen when her boyfriend showed up. I got to know him, and we've been best friends ever since. Road trips, music festivals, Burning Man, you name it. We're both settled down and engaged to other women. We have no idea what happened to that original chick. At university, a member of staff put my name forward for an elective full-time job role. I decided what the hell and went for it, got elected, had the best year of my life, befriended some amazing people, learned to LOT about myself, as well as worked out what I'd like to do in life. In high school, when I was 17, while sitting on a bus on the way home from some extracurricular event, I ended up in conversation about video games and random nerdy shit with a girl who went to a school mine was co-op with. This was a huge deal for me because 1, I'm extremely shy, and 2, I couldn't ever find anybody to share these interests with at my small rural school. She became one of my best friends in the world even 16 years later, and she's who introduced me to even more amazing people who were so incredibly important in my life. She also pushed me outside my comfort zone to embrace the hobbies and interest I love, and she helped me grow into the person I was supposed to be. I'm so grateful to her. Got divorced. I'm a lot poorer and lost a lot of things, but I got my sanity and dignity back, and I no longer drink myself into a stupor every day.